It was called the Ship of Dreams, a floating palace made of steel, gold, and ambition, built to carry the richest of the rich and the poorest of the hopeful across the ocean. To some, it was luxury. To others, it was salvation. And to two souls who should never have met, it became something far greater, the beginning and the end of everything. He had nothing but a sketchbook, a free spirit, and a ticket won in a game of chance. She had everything: beauty, wealth, and a diamond around her neck that sparkled like the life she couldn't escape. Her world was all rules and expectations, her future already written by the man she was supposed to marry. But on that ship, surrounded by strangers and stars, destiny had other plans. Their first meeting wasn't romantic, it was desperate. She was standing at the edge, ready to jump into the dark waters below, when he stopped her. Not with strength, but with honesty. He showed her that life, even when cruel, was still worth living. In that moment, the girl trapped in luxury met the boy who lived for freedom, and everything began to change. Days turned into magic. They laughed, they ran through endless corridors, they danced where no one was supposed to dance. She saw how the other half lived, not with money, but with joy. He showed her a world that didn't care about status or titles, only about being alive in the moment. And she gave him something just as powerful: a reason to stay still, to love, to dream beyond survival. But the ocean has a way of humbling even the proudest creations. One night, under a sky full of stars, it happened. A silent scrape, a shudder through the steel. What began as whispers turned into chaos. The ship that could never sink was bleeding from its side, and time was running out. He tried to get her to safety, fighting through crowds, through locked gates and rising water. The wealthy were ushered to lifeboats first, while hundreds were left behind. The air was filled with screams, smoke, prayers, and the sound of a band that refused to stop playing. He put her on a lifeboat, knowing there wasn't room for both. She cried, begged, refused, but he made her promise to survive, to never let go of the life they had just discovered together. As the ship's lights vanished beneath the waves, he held onto her hand in the freezing water. The ocean took his strength, his breath, his life, but never his love. He drifted away quietly, his eyes fixed on her face, while she whispered the promise that would carry her through the rest of her days. Hours later, rescue came. She was pulled from the sea, shivering, heartbroken but alive. She gave a false name, hiding her past, her pain, and her love from a world that would never understand. She kept his memory locked deep inside, like a secret too sacred to share. Years passed. The ocean claimed the ship and everyone who had called it home. But the story didn't die. It lived in her heartbeat, in every dream of the stars above that endless sea. She built a new life, grew old, and the world forgot, but she never did. And then, near the end of her journey, she returned to the place where it all began. Scientists searched for treasure, for gold and jewels, but she came looking for something else: closure. Standing above the ruins, she realized the real treasure had never been at the bottom of the ocean. It had always been him, the boy who taught her to fly before the world sank beneath her feet. That night, she let go of the diamond that once symbolized her cage. She dropped it into the sea, back to the depths where her heart truly belonged. And as it sank into the blue, she smiled, not with sorrow, but with peace. In her dreams, she was young again, walking through the grand staircase, golden light all around. The music played, the crowd turned, and there he was, waiting, smiling, reaching out his hand. She took it, and together they danced, the ship alive again, the ocean calm, the past finally at rest. Some stories don't need to be named. You know them the moment you hear them. Stories of love and loss, of courage and sacrifice, of a promise whispered under the stars. A story where two hearts met in the middle of an ocean. And somehow, even after everything sank beneath the waves, their love refused to drown. Can you guess the movie?